Spotify literally changed my life. And in this video, I want to share with you how it happened, why it happened, what I did and the steps to make it happen, and what you can do as an artist wanting to go full-time in music to take those necessary steps. My name's Chris Greenwood, also known as the artist Manifest. No, I'm not a household name, but I've been doing music full-time for over 20 plus years. And those last 5 to 7 years, I would say, is because of Spotify, because of digital marketing, because of online streams. You see, what happened is I was touring full time. That's how I paid the bills. I had quit my job years ago to become a full-time touring musician. And that's how I paid the bills every single day. I wasn't really making much from record sales. Finally, when we started selling a lot of records, we started to get checks annually or quarterly from the label, but it wasn't a ton. I couldn't live off of that. There was no way. That it helped when we finally started to sell some records or get a few TV syncs here, but it was all touring and it was merch. And I remember, kind of getting burnt out coming back off the road only to get ready to go out again, or to come back from the road and we quickly got to make another record and then go out on the road again. And I remember actually emailing Derek Sivers, who was the CEO and founder of CD Baby. And I was like, dude, how do I get my online income up from like streams and stuff? And he said, well, you got to focus on that. But the problem is that, the label had licensed my albums. So I was only getting a small portion, like 20 to 30% of sales. But thank God I had a really good lawyer. And when I originally signed with the record label, I didn't get an advance or anything, but it was a licensing deal. And so that meant that the label had rights exclusively to distribute the record. But that ended after, sometimes it was 5 years, sometimes it was 7 years, which is way too long, by the way. But the whole point is all of a sudden I started to get my records back. And I remember I got one of my records back, and so I distributed it. I uploaded it via like TuneCore or DistroKid or whoever, right? And all of a sudden I saw my income go up. I was like, holy crap. And then another year or so went by again, and I got another album back. And then all of a sudden my income went back up again. And this is at the time where my deal was becoming done and I had the opportunity to re-sign or not. And I remember my wife was like, no way, because she started to see the income coming up from streaming. And what's so powerful about this and what a lot of artists miss is like, look, I did that work once years ago for that record. I made those records years ago, but they're still paying me to this day. As I'm recording this video, people are streaming my music, but I'm not getting paid for those shows I did in Japan or China or in California or in British Columbia, Canada, wherever I played those shows, hundreds of them, thousands of them, I only got paid once. But I'm continuing to this day to get paid for my streams. And this is the mindset shift that I want you to have and that I teach on my Spotify 5-day challenge, is that you want to stop trading your time for money. That's fine at the beginning. We call that active income. So you go to your job, you get paid, you trade your time for money. That's what I was doing with touring. And that's fine for a while, but I didn't realize when I was songwriting, I was actually building assets. Okay, assets are things that put money into your pocket, and they make me money while I sleep. I actually like to call these Swiss dollars sales while I sleep soundly, or streams while I sleep soundly. And so all of a sudden I've got this income stream and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is literally life-changing. I could never sign a record deal ever again. And this is the mentality I had though when I was growing my music career. When I was touring, I was posting on social media all the time. I was putting money into Facebook ads, YouTube ads, and I was just marketing my face off. And I remember the label saying, even like in between records, they're like, man, you're not like some of these artists that only promote and post when you have a new record out. You were posting, constantly 365, so you continued to grow. But this is the thing, I wasn't getting paid much from that. It's kind of like I was just doing it because I wanted people to hear my music. Like my head was down and I was just focused. I was posting, I was marketing, I was promoting because I cared about the music. I wasn't worried about the money. I was just trying to get it out there. Like, how can we get more people to hear this? How can I get more following, more subscribers? I wasn't stressed out about the money because technically I had my job. Okay, touring was my job. That was my job, just over broke. Okay, and that's what it was like just enough to get by, put back into the music, and obviously it got more comfortable as we started to have more success. But the takeaway I want you to get from this is that don't focus so much at the beginning about trying to get this ROI and you making money from your music. Focus on growth at first. I'm not telling you to go into debt. I'm not telling you to go broke, but I'm telling you, you've got this job, this full-time job, or maybe you've got your touring, whatever your income is. Let that pay for your music career while you're growing it until your music starts to pay for itself. And that didn't happen overnight. It didn't. It took years. If I'm being honest, it took 6-7 years before it really, really took off, right? It was my third record with a label that finally had success. I think it was and that was in Japan. It was the fourth or fifth one that had success finally in the US and on radio. And, eventually it really changed my life and I had some massive success. But then again, when I went independent, that's when it really changed because I was already acting like an independent artist when I was signed. We still did all the artwork. We did all the mixing, all the mastering. I mostly always paid for the records, right? Like always, music videos, all that stuff. Sometimes they would give us a little bit of a budget or tour support, but a lot of the time, we were paying for stuff, man. And so I had that independent mindset. So when I left the label, it wasn't a big deal. It's like, I'm already doing this. And I remember that's the conversation that I had with my wife. She was like, we're already doing a lot of the work. Yeah, they would do radio and there's some things that they would do and leverage certain opportunities, definitely radio. But we didn't really need that anymore. With the online game or whatnot, it really woke us up to what's available. So if I were you, and I said this to somebody on my Spotify 5-day challenge, because he was like, should I sign with a record label? And I was like, well, dude, you don't even have any music out yet. And so if you do want to sign with them, you want to make sure that you've released a lot of music, not necessarily a lot, but you've grown a fan base and you have something to negotiate with. When I signed, I had nothing to negotiate with. I didn't have any sales history, much touring history. So they were taking a chance on me. But if you've already got numbers, you've already got monthly listeners, and you've got money coming in, and they want to just tap into the piece of that, well, then now you can negotiate. But what I would say to all you independent artists is you just need to focus on 3 to 4 songs that you can release, market the junk out of them. Another student yesterday was like, well, I want to grow my fan base, and they already have 10 to 15 songs, maybe 20 songs out, but they have barely any monthly listeners because they think just releasing another song is going to get them out there. And then just releasing another song. And they're caught on this treadmill of just putting out new songs because they heard that's what it takes. But that's not what it's about. It's about marketing what you have. There's a reason why labels had single cycles and album cycles. Okay, and cycles are like a period of time. And so normally with a single, you would promote it 3 to 4 months. To radio, press, online, music video, that you'd go crazy on that single. You would look at the 10 songs and you would pick the 2 to 3 best ones and you'd go nuts. So for an artist in this day and age to focus 3 to 4 months marketing a song, that's sounds like crazy to most artists. They're like, no way, that's way too long. No. If you focus and you market and you're running ads and social media and content and working at your job and building that relationship, building that email list, there's so much you can do to grow that song and find out if it's a hit. We don't even give songs a chance anymore, let alone releasing songs every 3 to 4 weeks. And that's kind of that's what I've been doing lately is 3 to 4 weeks. But I hear artists wanting to release songs every week or every 2 to 3 weeks. And it's you're not even giving this song a chance. You're not marketing it. You're just panicking. You're whipping it out there. And this is where the artist was stuck. They felt the pressure, they were rushing content. And that's what we do. We not only rush the production and the making of the song, which is really the A&R. It's the artist development, right? That's what an A&R is supposed to do at a label. They're supposed to develop you. You're not really developing the song. You're not sitting with the song. You're not marinating with it. You're not making it as great as it can be on the production, the songwriting, the mix, the master, the artwork, and then the rollout of the song. all the different social media posts. Like, you can have so much marketing. Like, you can be posting about that song dozens of times. We launch dozens of ads, okay? Like, a minimum to start when we start promoting a song is 6 ads at a time to find out the winner, and then roll out another 6, and find the winner on that, right? And so we can find it out, and then we can scale it up. Okay, so it's not about just doing more, releasing songs. I really want to challenge you to take the songs you have and create content around those, and then take that content and run it as ads. What songs do you already have? If you want to release a new song, why don't you take your hit song and put a feature on it, okay, and re-release it? You know, it's going to be a lot cheaper. It's going to be a lot better marketing than you just doing a brand new song. Oh, I'm going to do another brand new song. It's going to go out to the exact same 10 people. You know, in that movie Social Network, my favorite part is the guy that plays Zuckerberg says, "Give me your email address list, Eduardo, because I need to tap into a bigger fan base to share Facebook." Okay, otherwise, it's just going to bounce around Dorkton. And what he meant by Dorkton is it's the same few people are only going to hear about it. But he knew he needed more people to hear about it. Every time you just release another song, and you don't do a ton of marketing or get a feature or try a new marketing avenue, right? You're just releasing it to the same 5 to 10 listeners, and you wonder why you never grow, or the same 1,000 or 10,000, okay? Whatever, if you want something different tomorrow, you've got to plant something new today, okay? And if what you're doing isn't working, it doesn't mean that it's time to quit on your dream, but maybe your strategy. Okay, because what got you here will not get you there. What got me to 500,000 monthly listeners is not going to get me to 1 million or 5 million or 10 million. So it's time for change. I want to invite you to our next Spotify 5-day challenge. I'll put the links below, or get the strategy of my brand new book, Playlist Profits. Okay, this will show you the step-by-step what we do to put our songs onto playlists. Okay, we promote that playlist because I don't just want one song to get a lift. I want all my songs to get a lift. So this shows you how to build a playlist, how you can monetize that as a curator and actually get your budget paid for. This has been a game changer for me. It's what I teach my students, and how a lot of my students go from thousands to 10,000s of monthly listeners. Hope to see you in the next video. Peace.